And welcome to the Core Connection. I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network. And today's topic is Today is a New Day. And it's sort of a continuation of what we were talking about yesterday, emergence. But we're going to be looking at how we can start a day anew and maybe relieve ourselves of some, if not all, of the burden and overwhelm of our previous day's thoughts and beliefs and burdens. So it should be an interesting conversation. And before we get started, I want to say good morning. Good morning, Rosalind. Welcome. It's so good to have you here with us this morning. And welcome to everybody else who's joining us. I'm really wanting to explore this new day principle thing that we can maybe flesh out a bit together. But before we get started, let's take a minute or two to get present. So let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing all your cells, all your organs, bringing vital life energy to your body and being. And as you exhale, exhale any tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. This time, imagine brilliant, bright light, lighting you up from the inside out, illuminating, electrifying, and energizing all your cells, your molecules, your electrons, creating a brilliant beam of light and energy from your heart out into the world. And as you exhale, exhale any remaining tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's press our palms together. Vigorously rub your hands together to feel the friction, the temperature, the pressure, the motion, the tickling and tingling when you stop. And allow all those sensations to bring you present right here, right now, into this remarkable physical form that enables you to experience life. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So we're talking about today's a new day. And I wonder how many of us live with that notion, or if we just carry over our worries and concerns and moods and burdens from the prior day into this day, and then embody it from the minute we wake up, thinking about all the things, recreating all the things that may have caused us upset and burden the day before. Something that I have always found really hopeful, actually, I guess is probably the right word, about being able to go to sleep, is being able to wake up to a new day and a new start. So maybe, certainly there are influences in our environments that also help to hold things in place in a continuity of sorts. But there are many ways in which we can start fresh. You know, I think of years and years and years, and maybe still to some degree, I've wrestled with food and eating patterns and food sensitivities and all these crazy constraints that on body and being, and overeating and weight, all this stuff. And I remember I would get into sort of, this is a long time ago, really compulsive eating behavior. And going to sleep and waking up again to a new day was kind of a relief because it allowed me a reset. We can use that reset so that whatever the compulsion was of the day before, I could reinstate my discipline or whatever it was. Try and find my center after being all over the place on the day before. So Rosalind says, letting myself off the hook for not doing the dishes. The burden's not having enough time. It's having motivation to start the day with a clean sink. Having an empty dishwasher helps. That's awesome. So I don't have a dishwasher. I am the dishwasher. I remember years ago, my goddaughter was here and she said, well, where's the dishwasher? I said, you're looking at her. So yeah, but having a clean sink is a great metaphor. If we go to bed and the sink is full, then we wake up to a full sink, right? And we, sometimes, for me anyway, it's cathartic to just go and clean out the sink, to start the day by creating that new space. In a way, it's carrying over the burden from the prior day. And we can set ourselves up to wake up to a clean sink, metaphorically and otherwise, or we can use that as a ritual to ground ourselves into creating space in a new day. I think that there's a lot of power and possibility in using the reset of it's a new day to start fresh with new behaviors. I mean, we can recreate ourselves. Today I wake up and I am my more and more and more optimized self, whatever that means. It doesn't necessarily mean push. It doesn't mean A-type personality, do. It means maybe today I'm starting the day with the intention of being more centered, more present, more awake, whatever the intentions are. And the opportunity to go to sleep, to allow our brains and our nervous systems to reset, and then to wake into a new day as a new beginning is an amazing gift. And I've heard that when people are deprived of sleep and REM cycle, dream cycle, that they go crazy and end up hallucinating and all kinds of other breaks with reality from sleep deprivation. And I think that the function of sleep in so many ways is to give us that reset. In the work that I do, the core connection work, people often end up being really, really sleepy at the end of a session. And they say, I just want to go to sleep. I just want a nap. And that's always a good sign, because what it indicates is that their brain is trying to reset, that their brain is trying to integrate all this new, excuse me, the new wiring or the new associations that were created in the context of the session. So being able to have that break, there's a blessing that sleep brings. And so often what we do when we wake is recreate the traumas and upsets from the day before, which is so crazy. Do we really have to do that? Is that necessary, or can we use the opportunity of a morning or even the opportunity after a nap to allow ourselves to create something new, to recreate ourselves in the moment as something other than the traumas and the upsets that may have existed from the prior day? It's amazing to me how in the process of our evolution, there's often a part of ourselves that is very committed to thwarting that change because it maybe perceives that change as just really threatening, right? Who will I be if I'm not my anxiety, right? We were talking about living from the past yesterday, and emergence, living into the future instead. And we have that opportunity on a daily basis. There are influences around us that will try to keep the history in place, that will remind us of our history. But we have the opportunity to defy that by just simply being different. So in this conversation yesterday with this client who really truly has had, they've had a lifelong struggle with anxiety, and they are moving out of the self-definition of an anxious person into something else. And we had that deliberate and conscious decision yesterday, discussion yesterday about moving into being a person who is finding more and more calm in their lives, more and more centeredness in their lives, rather than someone who is anxious. And to be shifting that identity has a huge power in it. And we all have bad days or days that we struggle through. And sometimes it's a relief. Well, for me in my history anyway, a lot of times it was a relief to just be able to sleep and wake up fresh, wake up new. Although I don't think I had the distinction to allow myself to recreate myself in a more rewarding way on those in those times. But we do have that ability. We have choices. And why was I telling you about this conversation? Oh, so I was telling this person, I used to be truly clinically depressed, deeply, deeply, deeply depressed, with suicidal ideation for years and years and years, for most of my life, where I would wake up and go to sleep wishing to die, knowing I would die because nobody could be that unhappy and stay alive, and just really wanting out. And the client, as I was telling them this, was smiling. I said, "Why are you smiling?" I said, "I'll bet you're smiling because you can't imagine that that's who I was." And they agreed. And the thing is that I chose to leave that behind, like not as an identity. It was an identity, but I left that behind and recognized I don't need to be that person. I don't need to be that person. That may be part of my history, but it's not who I am. I don't have to identify with that. I don't have to carry that into my future, right? We have the ability to be different. We have the ability to change our experience of life. And how do we change our experience of life? It's by choosing, and recognizing that the past is not the present and the past is not the future. And we can define how we allow the past to inform the present and inform the future. So I know people who have experienced depression, deep, deep depression, which I have, oftentimes have a fear that they're going to get that depressed again. Or if they allow themselves to feel sadness, that they will fall into that sadness and never come out. And I can understand that fear, but that fear becomes something that then holds us hostage as well. If we can recognize that all things pass, that we live in cycles, that life is kind of a wave of experience, then we can not be afraid. When we deny our emotions, when we deny our experience, when we exile parts of ourselves and try to pretend they don't exist, that we empower those parts. So what we're avoiding gains strength as we put more denial into whatever that is. And thankfully, the break of sleep allows us some, maybe a little distance until we start recreating it, like waking up in the morning and diligently remembering all the traumas of the prior day and recreating that for this moment, rather than creating a new breath, a new start. So Rosalind says, to create a new thought, there's an element, if it's true, then I can believe it. How to work around it being true or not. Okay, so that's really great. That's a really great question that came up in our conversation yesterday with my client. And I asked them, have you ever had a belief that changed? And they said, no. I said, really? Just look at media, okay? So what the point is getting to the fact that beliefs are beliefs. They're not truth, okay? So let's take a look at this. Eggs, at one point, eggs were really good for you. And then they were really bad for you. And then they were really good for you. And then they were really bad for you. And I don't know what they are now, but what's true, right? Red wine, coffee, good for you, bad for you, good for you, bad for you. What's true? Carbs, fats, all of these things related. Rosalind says to eat the yolk. Yes, so, eggs were really good for you if you just ate the whites. The yolk wasn't good. Fats weren't good. So here, the rules keep changing, right? The truth keeps changing. Was the world really flat when people believed it was flat? It's a belief. it's a belief. The belief doesn't make it true. And so I understand the importance of the resonance of truth about something in terms of beliefs. You'll often hear me talking about, well, my working hypothesis is, because instead of here's how it is, because in so many instances what we say is true is true. So if we say the world is a terrible place, we create the world to be a terrible place for ourselves. We find all kinds of evidence of how the world is a terrible place. If we say that the world is filled with beauty, we can find all kinds of justification for that too. So these pronouncements that we make about what's true and what's not true, I'm a good person, that's an interesting one, because we like to think that we're good people. But what does it mean to be a good person? Does it mean always behaving impeccably all the time? Because that's kind of an unreal standard, isn't it? So, and what is this notion of a good person, a bad person, right? Where does that come from? And who says what's good and what's bad, right? So what's true? What's true and what's not true? So much of it is what we create. We are the creators of our own reality. And at the very, very least, we are the creators of our own experience. So what if we were to make a commitment to ourselves to wake each day allowing us to open into the new possibility of that day that is as yet unformed, that we open to the magic that that day may bring, rather than recreating the prior day or the prior week or the prior year or the prior life. What if we can become somebody new? So I've heard these stories of people that go to a new city, a new place in their lives, and they say to themselves, nobody here knows me. I can be anything I want to be. I don't have to carry forward this identity that I have been wearing strapped to my back like a heavy backpack all my life. I can shed that and I can be somebody else. I can be the more authentic me. I can be the more fully expressed me. So Rosalind says mantras help, like having a note on the mirror to say you are worthy and loved. That's a great reminder. You know, if there's something that you do first thing in the morning, there's an opportunity to give yourselves a reminder that you are creating your life. You are certainly creating the experience of your life. And we have the opportunity in any given moment to create it anew. So Rosalind says self-love. Yes, we can create self-love. There's so much, so many of us work so hard at cultivating self-loathing by telling ourselves how we're inadequate or how we're not meeting the mark or how we're not enough, or rather than giving ourselves the input of how abundantly magnificent we each are in our lives. and how more expressed and fulfilled and magnificent we can become in that expression. So the messages that we give ourselves, the way that we wake into the world each day, is a point of empowerment. It's a point of potential. It's a point of possibility to be waking anew into each day, new to one's possibility and potential and capacity and capability. We have that opportunity on a daily basis, and we don't have to wait to go to sleep and wake up. We can do it in any minute. It's just that the momentum of the moments that accumulate through the day sometimes can be very, very powerful. So we can sort of hack that momentum by starting the day in a new way. So that's it for today. I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection, and I go live here each weekday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page and YouTube channel, my Facebook page, and the Core Connection Facebook page. And it's always, always, always a privilege and a pleasure to be able to spend this time with you each morning, exploring consciousness, being, life, ourselves. I'm very grateful to you for the opportunity. So until next time, so much love to you.